Outdoor liquid petroleum gas (LPG) dispensers for motor fuel located 18 inches up and within 20 feet are classified as Division 1 Class I Group D hazardous locations. Let's break down what that means. Firstly, Class I refers to locations where flammable gases or vapors are, or may be, present in the air in quantities sufficient to produce explosive or ignitable mixtures. This is a broad category encompassing various flammable substances. Secondly, Division 1 signifies that the hazardous material is present continuously, intermittently, or periodically under normal operating conditions. This could also mean that the hazardous material is present frequently because of repair or maintenance operations, or because of leakage. In the case of an LPG dispenser, leaks or spills are a possibility during normal dispensing operations, hence the Division 1 classification within the specified area. Thirdly, Group D is a further refinement that specifies the particular type of flammable gas or vapor involved. Group D includes gases and vapors such as butane, propane, gasoline, natural gas, and similar flammable materials. LPG, which is primarily propane and butane, falls directly into this group. Now let's delve deeper into the implications of each component of this classification. Class I locations are characterized by the presence of flammable gases or vapors in the air. These gases or vapors can be released from various sources, including leaks from pipes, storage tanks, or processing equipment. The key is that the concentration of these substances must be high enough to form an ignitable mixture with air. This is typically defined as being within the lower explosive limit (LEL) and upper explosive limit (UL) range of the substance. The LEL is the lowest concentration of a gas or vapor in air that will ignite, while the UL is the highest concentration that will ignite. If the concentration is below the LEL or above the UL, the mixture will not ignite. In the case of LPG dispensers, the potential for leaks and spills means that the concentration of LPG in the air within the specified area could easily fall within the explosive range. Division 1 locations, as mentioned earlier, are those where the hazardous material is present under normal operating conditions. This means that there is a high likelihood that an explosive atmosphere will be present at some point. This can be due to routine operations, maintenance procedures, or potential leaks. In the context of an LPG dispenser, the dispensing process itself can lead to the release of LPG vapors into the surrounding air. Additionally, maintenance activities, such as replacing hoses or fittings, could also result in the release of LPG. The Division 1 classification requires that all electrical equipment installed in this area be specifically designed and approved for use in Division 1 hazardous locations. This typically involves explosion-proof enclosures or intrinsically safe circuits. Explosion-proof enclosures are designed to contain any internal explosion and prevent it from propagating to the surrounding atmosphere. Intrinsically safe circuits are designed to limit the energy available to a level that is too low to ignite a flammable mixture. Group D further refines the classification by specifying the specific type of flammable gas or vapor present. This is important because different gases and vapors have different ignition temperatures, explosion pressures, and minimum ignition energies. Electrical equipment approved for Group D is designed to withstand specific hazards associated with gases and vapors like propane and butane. For instance, the equipment must have a surface temperature that is below the auto-ignition temperature of the Group D gases. The auto-ignition temperature is the temperature at which a substance will spontaneously ignite in air without the need for an external ignition source. The specific dimensions mentioned, 18 inches up and within 20 feet, define the area around the LPG dispenser where the Division 1 Class I Group D classification applies. This is based on the expected dispersion of LPG vapors in the event of a leak or spill. The 18-inch height is likely intended to account for the accumulation of heavier-than-air LPG vapors near the ground. The 20-foot radius represents the distance over which the vapors are likely to disperse and maintain a concentration within the explosive range. It's crucial to understand that the area beyond this 20-foot radius may still be considered a hazardous location, but it may be classified as a different division, such as Division 2. Division 2 locations are those where the hazardous material is not normally present in the air under normal operating conditions but may be present accidentally. The requirements for electrical equipment in Division 2 locations are generally less stringent than those for Division 1 locations, but they still require some level of protection. In addition to the Division 1 area within 20 feet of the dispenser, there may be other classified areas around the dispenser based on specific conditions and regulations. For example, the area directly underneath the dispenser may also be classified as Division 1 due to the potential for liquid LPG to accumulate in the event of a leak. Furthermore, any enclosed or poorly ventilated areas near the dispenser should be carefully evaluated for potential hazardous atmospheres. Proper ventilation can help to dissipate LPG vapors and reduce the size of the classified area. It's important to consult with a qualified electrical engineer or other expert in hazardous location classification to determine the appropriate classification for any specific LPG dispenser installation. They can take into account factors such as the dispenser design, ventilation conditions, and local regulations. When selecting electrical equipment for use in a Division 1, Class I, Group D location, it's essential to choose equipment that is specifically approved for that classification. This equipment will typically be marked with the appropriate classification information, such as Class I, Division 1, Group D. It's also important to ensure that the equipment is installed and maintained in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and applicable codes and standards. This includes proper wiring practices, grounding, and regular inspections. Failure to use approved equipment or to follow proper installation and maintenance procedures can significantly increase the risk of fire or explosion. In summary, the classification of outdoor LPG dispensers for motor fuel as Division 1, Class I, Group D reflects the inherent hazards associated with these installations. LPG is a flammable substance, and the dispensing process can create the potential for explosive atmospheres. By understanding the meaning of each component of this classification and by selecting and installing electrical equipment accordingly, it's possible to minimize the risk of fire or explosion and ensure the safety of personnel and property. The specific area classifications are based on the likelihood of flammable vapors being present, with Division 1 indicating a higher probability than Division 2. The Group D designation identifies the type of flammable gas or vapor, which is important for selecting appropriate equipment. Remember that this classification is a critical component of ensuring safety in areas where flammable substances are handled, and adherence to these standards is essential. It's also worth noting that codes and standards related to hazardous location classifications can vary depending on the jurisdiction. It's important to consult with local authorities and qualified professionals to ensure compliance with all applicable regulations. This information is for educational purposes only and should not be considered a substitute for professional advice. Always consult with qualified experts before making any decisions related to electrical safety or hazardous location classification. The National Electrical Code, NEC, provides detailed requirements for electrical installations in hazardous locations, and it's important to be familiar with these requirements. The NEC defines various classes, divisions, and groups of hazardous locations and specifies the types of equipment that are permitted in each location. The NEC also provides guidance on how to determine the extent of classified areas. The authority having jurisdiction, OJ, is the entity responsible for enforcing the NEC and other applicable codes and standards. The AHJ may have additional requirements or interpretations that must be followed. It's important to work closely with the AHJ to ensure that all installations meet the applicable requirements. In addition to the NEC, other codes and standards may also apply to LPG dispenser installations. These may include codes related to fire safety, building construction, and environmental protection. It's important to be aware of all applicable codes and standards and to ensure that the installation complies with all requirements. Proper training is essential for anyone who works with LPG dispensers or other equipment in hazardous locations. Training should cover the hazards associated with flammable substances, the requirements for electrical installations in hazardous locations, and the proper procedures for operating and maintaining equipment. Regular refresher training is also important to ensure that personnel stay up to date on the latest codes, standards, and best practices. Ongoing maintenance is crucial for ensuring the continued safety of LPG dispenser installations. This includes regular inspections of electrical equipment, piping, and other components. Any deficiencies should be corrected promptly to prevent the development of hazardous conditions. It's also important to keep accurate records of all inspections, maintenance, and repairs. These records can be used to track the performance of equipment and to identify potential problems before they become serious. Furthermore, emergency procedures should be in place to address potential leaks, spills, or other hazardous conditions. These procedures should be clearly documented and readily available to all personnel. Regular drills should be conducted to ensure that personnel are familiar with the procedures and can respond effectively in an emergency. The classification of hazardous locations is a complex topic, and it's important to have a thorough understanding of the applicable codes, standards, and best practices. By following these guidelines, it's possible to minimize the risk of fire or explosion and ensure the safety of personnel and property. It is important to remember that the specific classification and requirements for an LPG dispensing location can vary depending on local regulations and the specific design of the installation. Consulting with qualified professionals and adhering to all applicable codes and standards is crucial for ensuring safety. Furthermore, the installation of proper safety systems such as emergency shutdown systems and fire suppression systems can further enhance the safety of LPG dispensing operations. Emergency shutdown systems can be used to quickly shut down the flow of LPG in the event of a leak or other emergency. Fire suppression systems can be used to extinguish fires quickly and prevent them from spreading. These systems should be designed and installed in accordance with applicable codes and standards. In conclusion, understanding the classification of hazardous locations, particularly Division 1, Class I, Group D, is essential for ensuring the safe operation of LPG dispensing facilities. This classification dictates the types of electrical equipment that can be used in the area and the safety precautions that must be taken. By adhering to these standards, the risk of fire, explosion, and other hazards can be significantly reduced, protecting both personnel and property. Remember to always consult with qualified professionals and refer to the latest editions of the National Electrical Code and other relevant standards for the most up-to-date information and guidance. And it is equally vital to properly ground the equipment, as this is a safety measure that will prevent the build-up of static electricity and reduce the risk of sparks. Static electricity can easily ignite flammable materials, making grounding a critical safety consideration in hazardous environment. Consider also proper signage, which is also important for hazardous locations. Warning signs should be clearly posted to alert personnel to the presence of flammable materials and the potential for explosion. These signs should also include information on the appropriate safety precautions to take. Regular audits of the facility and equipment are recommended to identify and address potential safety hazards. These audits should be conducted by qualified personnel who are familiar with the applicable codes and standards. The audit should include a review of electrical equipment, piping, ventilation systems, and emergency procedures. Additionally, ensuring proper training of all personnel who work in or around LPG dispensing facilities is essential. This training should cover the hazards associated with LPG, the proper procedures for operating and maintaining equipment, and the emergency procedures to follow in the event of a leak or other incident. Regular refresher training is also recommended to ensure that personnel stay up to date on the latest safety practices. Remember to always prioritize safety and to consult with qualified professionals when making decisions about the design, installation, operation, and maintenance of LPG dispensing facilities. By taking these precautions, you can help to prevent accidents and ensure the safety of personnel and property.